Attention! It is important that you read the manual and understand all the steps for the biodiesel reactor prior to starting this process. Simple errors can cause major problems or damage. This could lead to an expensive repair or a long cleanup that will leave you smelling like fried foods for a few days, not to mention possibly ruining your clothes at a minimum. Before filling the reactor with raw or waste vegetable oil, all the valves should be closed. A major concern with the waste vegetable oil is the particulate that it may contain and damage it may cause to the reactor's pump, which could cost $200. Set up the filter in the top of the reactor vessel prior to pumping the oil from the waste vegetable oil holding tank or transport barrels. Pump 40 gallons from the holding tank or transport barrels through the filter into the reactor vessel. This can take some time with the current setup, so you may get bored and overfill the reactor. Don't panic at this point. Just drain off the extra through the valves 1 and 2 and back to the vessel that it came from. Prior to proceeding with the next step in the operation of the biodiesel reactor, a sample of the oil being used must be titrated and a test reaction must be done to verify that the proper chemical reaction will occur. After completing a successful test reaction, the sodium hydroxide and methanol ratio must be scaled up to the 40 gallons of oil that you have. Add the measured sodium hydroxide into the methoxide vessel prior to adding any methyl alcohol. The methyl alcohol used for the reaction is stored outside in the chapel and will have to be retrieved at this point. Using the methyl alcohol pump and drum breather apparatus, pump 8 gallons of methyl alcohol into the methoxide vessel. When done, open the valve on the barrel breather apparatus and allow the excess methyl alcohol to drain back into the barrel. At this time, a large amount of pumping will be required to agitate the methyl alcohol and sodium hydroxide so that they mix. It is likely that this may take most of a day to dissolve. While waiting for the sodium hydroxide to dissolve in the methyl alcohol, insert the oil heaters and suspend them in the reactor vessel. Open valves 1, 3, and 5 and plug in both the heaters as well as the reactor pump. The waste vegetable oil will need to be heated to approximately 130 degrees Fahrenheit for the reaction to occur effectively and efficiently. Heating the oil any higher will cause the methoxide mixture to boil when the methoxide is introduced into the oil. Skipping the heating process will extend the reaction process and may cause an incomplete reaction. When the oil has reached temperature, turn off the reactor pump momentarily while removing the heaters from the reactor vessel. You will want these out during the reaction, as it will cause free fatty acids and glycerin to cling to them, suspending these impurities in your biodiesel. Restart the reactor pump at this time. Once the oil is flowing again, close valve 3 while opening valve 7. At this time, the methoxide should start flowing through the pump and to the reactor vessel. This may take a few minutes as the pump is a low volume pump. When all the methoxide has been pumped into the reactor vessel, close valve 7 and open valve 3. The reaction will be occurring at this time but will need help in mixing completely. The reactor pump will have to run for at least 2 hours to help this process. After those 2 hours have passed, shut off the reactor pump and close valve 1. At this time, you will want to drain the reacting chemicals from the reactor plumbing. Open valve 9 and drain into a clean container. This quantity will make for a great sample for the chemistry classes to test the completeness of the reaction prior to any other steps. After 24 hours, the glycerol will be able to be drained from the reactor vessel. Open valves 1 and 2 and drain into a clean container. The glycerol can be used to make soap or for cleaning the drains. When it's completely drained and you can see a color change in the hose coming off of valve 1, close valves 1 and 2. This concludes the reaction portion of the biodiesel reactor process. Before water washing and filtration, please watch the corresponding video, Water Washing and Filtering Biodiesel.